Welcome to the spooky edition of the Anxious Adventurer podcast. If you missed the last two episodes, for the month of October, I'm talking to you about the mystical, the haunted, and taking you on adventures to those spooky places. October is one of my most favorite times of year. I love Halloween and anything paranormal. During this time, you can find me watching scary movies, Halloween Wars on the Food Network, and catching up on those cheesy but oh so good haunting shows. I tell you, I am a sucker for it all. That's why when I visit a place that's known for the spooky or the mystical, I love to learn all about it and soak it all in. And today, I'm taking you along with me to another haunted destination. Since this week is Halloween, I want to take you on a spectacular adventure to a place that has been known for so much paranormal activity over the years. In today's episode, Spooky Edition, we're going on a trip to a region of North America that stretches from the western Catskill Mountains of New York all the way down to central Alabama. Are you ready? Okay then, pack those bags, and depending on where you're listening from in the world, grab your passports, because we're about to embark on a spectacular adventure to the mystical and paranormal happenings in and around Appalachia. Appalachia is a geographic region located in the central and southern sections of the Appalachian Mountains of the eastern United States. Aforementioned, its boundaries stretch from the western Catskill Mountains of New York into Pennsylvania, continuing on through the Blue Ridge Mountains and Great Smoky Mountains, into northern Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi, with West Virginia being the only state in which the entire state is within the boundaries of Appalachia. Since its recognition as a cultural region in the late 19th century, Appalachia has been a source of enduring myths. Settlers from the British Isle brought stories and superstitions that have evolved over the years. But as time went by, those settler stories began to mix with Native American legends as well, giving this region an air of great mystery, where something strange always seems to be happening. These tales I'm about to tell you are only some of the spooky folklore stories that are alive and well in Appalachia today. Tales of mysterious lights, mythical monsters, and a witch. Are you ready to travel around this mysterious region? First up, that of the mysterious balls of light seen in the mountains of North Carolina, known as the Brown Mountain Lights. This tale is as old as time. Well, not quite, but a little over 2 centuries ago, it is said that eerie ghost-like lights began appearing over Brown Mountain in North Carolina. The first eyewitness to report the lights was a German engineer, John William Gerard de Brown, who wrote of the lights over the North Carolina hills in his journal in 1771. Following Brown's account, several legends about the lights over the mountains were passed down. Many who have seen the lights say that the glowing orbs dance over the hills soundlessly until they silently dissipate or explode over the rolling peaks. In 1922, the United States Ecological Society investigated the Brown Mountain phenomenon and determined that the lights were simply car headlights or lights of a passing train. However, this was disproven after a massive flood wiped out all the roads and tracks on the mountain, and the lights still appeared. There are many theories about the Brown Mountain Lights, as with many Appalachian folk stories. However, the most common is the story told by the Native Americans in the area. Cherokee legend claims that there was a bloody battle between Catawba and the Cherokee warriors on Brown Mountain. Mothers, widows, and sisters set out into the mountains after the battle was over, carrying torches to search for their loved ones. This explains the glowing lights as the spirits of the Cherokee women who are still searching for their loved ones. Legends aside, though, Forest Service officers and scientists from Appalachian State University have also observed the lights in recent years. Current scientific theories about the lights speculate that they could be caused by natural gases on the mountain or ball lightning. Whatever the brown mountain lights are, they can be seen fairly regularly in North Carolina, most often during the nights between September and November. Are you ready for our next spooky tale from Appalachia? This one will leave you scratching your head, wondering if monsters are indeed real. Have you ever heard of the paranormal story of the Mothman? Beginning in 1966, a strange year of phenomena occurred in Western Virginia and Ohio. It began with two couples who, while driving past an abandoned World War II TNT factory, saw a huge man-like bird with glowing red eyes flying parallel to their car. The creature had a 10-foot wingspan, and despite their attempt to flee, the car could not speed past the being fast enough, even while going over 100 miles per hour. After reaching the city limits of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the couples reported the sighting to the police immediately. Newspapers dubbed the creature the Mothman, and the story took off. Over the next year, the residents of Point Pleasant saw the Mothman at least 8 more times. Every time, the description was eerily similar: a large, man-like bird with huge red eyes. Many dismissed the phenomenon, claiming that the hysteria was simply over a sandhill crane that had gone off its normal migration route. Despite skepticism, strange things continued to happen in Point Pleasant that year. UFO sightings increased significantly, and suspicious men in black were spotted throughout the hills surrounding the town. These odd occurrences continued until December 15, 1967, when the Silver Bridge, which connected Point Pleasant to Gallipolis, Ohio, collapsed in the middle of rush hour traffic. 46 people died in the disaster, and some even claimed to have seen the Mothman at the scene. After the devastating disaster of 1967, sightings of the Mothman decreased, but the legend still remained. Though Mothman remains unexplained for now, it has become a kind of mascot for Point Pleasant, where there is a Mothman Museum and an annual Mothman Festival every year in the autumn. Our last spooky tale in Appalachia is one of a witch, known as the Bell Witch. The Bell family moved to the Red River Bottom land in Robertson County, Tennessee, around the turn of the 19th century. About a decade after moving into their log-built home, the family began experiencing strange activity. Knockings, scratchings, and dragging things across the floor disturbed the Bells at all hours of the day and night. The activity continued to escalate, and the Bells' daughters began complaining that someone or something was pulling on their sheets and pinching them while they slept at night. John Bell was determined to keep this phenomena a secret, afraid of what the family's community at Red Bottom Baptist Church would think. Eventually, though, he told the story to his friend, James Johnston. Johnston was skeptical at first, until he stayed the night at the Bell farm and experienced the entity himself. After Johnston's visit, the story spread far and wide, and the entity started growing stronger, feeding off the attention. The poltergeist, as they said, had begun speaking, and claimed that it was a spirit of a local witch named Kate Batts, which brought about the nickname of the Bell Witch. She constantly argued religion, sang hymns, and even once recited 2 sermons word for word while they were being told at their respective churches, which were 13 miles apart. The activity became so notorious that General Andrew Jackson and his men visited the farm, and, after a night of harassment from the witch, departed quickly. Later, Jackson supposedly said he would, quote, rather fight the British at New Orleans than fight the Bell Witch, end quote. After John Bell died in 1820, the entity claimed she had poisoned him, disappearing and reappearing to the family several more times throughout the 1820s, first to convince the Bell's daughter not to marry, and also to speak with Bell's son. After her seemingly final departure from John Bell Jr. in 1828, the entity claimed she would return one day to haunt the Bell's descendants. Dr. Charles Bailey Bell, a Nashville-based neurologist, was John Bell's closest living relative, and it is unknown whether he was haunted by the Bell Witch or not. However, the legend has endured in Appalachia as one of its most famous ghost stories. As you may have heard, at the end of September, a hurricane devastated part of this beautiful region, causing so much damage and destruction, and so many precious lives were lost. If you liked this episode today and want to have these stories of legend and folklore live on from this beautiful, rich, and culturally diverse area, I encourage you to donate to an organization to help bring some sort of relief to the people who call this beautiful region home. I've linked to some of the organizations that I've seen doing some really amazing things for the families and towns in this region. I've also donated directly to one of my entrepreneur friends who sadly lost her home and business all within 3 days. It's going to be a very long road to recover, and every little bit helps. Next time you're in the Great Appalachian region, maybe do a little of your own research and see if you find any local, spooky folklore stories. Just think, you could find a tale or two that may well be the highlight of your trip, or at the very least, give you goosebumps as you drive on through Appalachia. Thank you for joining me on this haunted trip to this mysterious region of the United States. I hope you have enjoyed these spooky tales. Until next time, have a happy and spooktacular Halloween. Ciao. Besos. Mwah.